Hello and welcome to this edition of Diaspora Central. I am Gil Ingles, and with me today, ladies and gentlemen, in the studio is someone that I consider my hero. This man is definitely represented the diaspora to the best in the world. He is Augusto Ingles, aka Gus, a U.S. military veteran who now also serves in the reserves.
Right now, what I'm doing, I'm teaching right now.
You're teaching.
Yes, sir.
Who is currently teaching. But you did do your 22 or 20
23
plus years.
Yes, yep.
Gus, welcome to Diaspora Central.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. You're not only a source of pride for the community, you're definitely a source of pride for the family. You are a man of dignity, respect, a man that gave his youth to create this prosperity and secure this peace that we value in America. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Let's talk a little bit about Gus, who Gus is, where Gus is from. Where was Gus born? Where was he raised? Let's kind of get into it.
All right.
Because I think we're going to have a good conversation. So, place of birth.
Detroit, Michigan. Motown.
Motown. Now, you are from Motown. It's a music city.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yeah.
sir. But I was born there.
Uh-huh.
And then, because my mom and my dad, Mattel Ingles,
Right.
they had moved up there. So a little backstory is, as you know, my dad, Mattel Ingles, is from Angola.
Right.
And he had come over here to the States to go to school, Ohio Northern University. And my mom was in nursing school. So,
Okay.
And so St. Rita's Nursing School in Ohio Northern University would have these little dance and shindigs, these parties, and that's how they met.
Oh, wow.
And then that's how I came to fruition. And
Gotcha.
she got a job at the Ford Hospital up in Detroit. And so I was born during the riots.
Oh, wow.
In 1967 in Detroit, Michigan. And then about a year after that, I grew up in Kinshasa, Zaire for about 4 years.
So, wow. So basically, your infancy was actually in Kinshasa, in Congo, Kinshasa, right?
sir.
Which is today known as Congo, Kinshasa,
yeah,
but
no.
but used to be Zaire
Yes,
at the
sir.
time, and that was during the days of Mobutu Sese Seko.
Yes, it
Okay.
was.
So, did you pick up any French at all? Any Lingala? A couple of words here and there.
At the time, my mom said I could understand French, Lingala,
Yeah.
a little bit of the Kimbundu
Okay,
tribe
Kimbundu, yeah, the
language,
Kimbundu,
and English,
Okay.
and there was something else. So like I didn't speak a word of I didn't speak a word until I was 3 years old because I had all these languages in my head. But I could understand and answer.
Yeah, to any of those languages.
To any of those languages, as a little kid should be able to answer.
Wow. Well versed.
Yeah.
And so eventually you guys I guess leave Congo and come back
Yes.
to
Yes, sir. So I grew up in Lima, Ohio, and basically where my mom grew up.
okay.
And that's where my mom's family's from.
Yeah.
And so I pretty much grew up in Lima from the time I was 5
Okay.
until I graduated from high school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now let's kind of go back a little bit because I kind of want to touch on families a little bit. Of course, your paternal family is Ingles,
Yes.
which is a very prominent family in Angola, and your maternal family is
Frison. Yeah.
and that's primarily from Ohio.
Well, actually, they're from Mississippi area.
From Mississippi.
Yeah.
Okay, so from down here, from the
Yes.
south.
Yes, sir.
Oh, from the Gulf region, right? Oh, wow. And you still have relatives here in Mississippi also still?
I probably do. I just don't know who they are.
Okay.
But all my aunts and uncles live up in Ohio.
Okay, so the big bulk of the family is up in Ohio, and yeah, some extended family probably still down this way.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So that experience of being that young, coming back to the United States, at that point you are what, 4 or 5 years old?
5 years old.
5 years old.
Yes.
So you going straight to school.
Yeah.
Now, at home, the parents spoke English,
Right.
right? Because that's the way they could communicate. So you guys pretty much spoke English.
Yeah, I grew up speaking English.
Yeah. So how was that experience when you get back to America?
I mean,
From what you can recall, I guess.
From what I remember,
Mm-hmm.
the most important thing I liked doing was watching news,
Okay.
which is weird for a 6-year-old kid.
Right.
and then going outside and play. That's all I did.
Yeah.
Just went outside and played, and then I would watch the news, and then
Wow.
pretty much when the news went off, it was time for bed. So
So it was news and playing.
yes, sir.
Yeah. So you start going to school. Did you at that point experience any I guess, did you feel like you were different than everybody else? Did your experience make you feel kind of different, or maybe even be treated different?
Well, let's look at it
differently?
this way. So Lima, Ohio is just a little town. It's
Okay.
probably about the same as about 50 to 75,000 people.
Okay.
And at that time, you had the north end was predominantly white. The
Okay.
south end was a mixture of white, black, Italian, but it was slowly being taken over by the black community. And
Okay.
then you had east and west, which was west was pretty much your higher class citizens, a mixture of all.
Okay.
And then the east was kind of this deteriorating as a part of Lima.
Got you.
And so the best schools in Lima, Ohio, public schools in Lima, Ohio, were up north.
Mm-hmm.
So my mom moved up north.
Okay.
So I was the only white kid, the only black kid, and pretty much for my first 4 years of school.
Oh, wow. So until the 4th grade.
Yeah, fifth grade.
5th grade.
Yes, sir.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. A lot of attention,
Yes.
but also probably beneficial because at that point you kind of build a lot of tough skin.
Yeah.
Yeah. But even with that also, you do find those teachers and educators who actually give you good advice, become somewhat of an influence on you. Do you have any names that you remember from that time?
My first grade teacher was Miss Helmick. That was at Bath Elementary School. 5th grade teacher was Miss Quigenti. That was at St. Gerard's School. And then Mrs. Eaton in 8th grade. And then in high school, there was a whole bunch. Miss Moore, Miss Mengele, Mr. Jensen.
Yeah. now, and out of those teachers, right? What middle school did you go to, and which high school did you go to?
Okay, so I started out in public school. So I went to Bath.
Okay.
And then I went to Irving
Okay.
for a year. And then because of all the rumors of integration,
Got you.
my mom moved me into a private school, St. Gerard's School, which is a Catholic school.
Okay.
And so from 3rd grade into high school, I went to St. Gerard's until 8th grade, and then Lima Central Catholic for high school, 9th through 12th grade.
Yeah. Now, and this is just on a basis of background. The Ingles family in Angola is primarily United Methodist,
Right.
and you were going to a Catholic school,
Yes, sir.
right? Were you also Catholic in faith? Was your mom Catholic in faith?
Right, because pretty much they all grew up Catholic. Now, as they became adults, they started
Yeah.
they started looking at the Protestant side. So
Got you.
my childhood, I grew up Catholic, but I was in Pentecostal churches,
Okay.
Baptist churches.
Okay.
I saw everything.
There
just
you go.
about growing up.
You were active, huh?
Yes,
and
sir.
what was mom's name?
My mom's name is Cleora.
Yeah. Wow. So, Ohio.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Where is home for you?
Right now, home is in the Tampa area.
Tampa.
Yeah.
Okay. But if you had to pick a place, I guess, that you would consider home, what would that be?
Well, yeah.
Out of all the places where you've been.
All the places I've been, my heart's probably still in Lima, Ohio.
Lima, Ohio, right?
Yes,
sir. Yeah. Definitely not Texas.
No.
Snow, right? You still want the snow.
Oh, no. I mean, that's why, because like just more information. I have 2 sons, twin boys.
Okay.
And one's in Columbus, Ohio, with my sister, Tina. And then the other one's in Boston.
Okay.
And so, like, the last couple of years, they've been teasing me.
Yeah.
Dad, when you come back north? I said, I don't know.
Yeah. You can keep that snow. Let them know.
Sir.
Yeah. Let them know. But you know what? That's amazing. But so as you're going through that process of schooling, of course, the military is introduced into your lifestyle. Like,
Well, introduced in my lifestyle. By 7th, 8th grade, I knew I wanted to be an engineer.
okay.
And so I started looking at where's
Ways
the
of-
best place
gotcha.
and be an engineer. And then also at that same time, my mom's like, "You're gonna have to get a scholarship because I'm not gonna be able to pay for it."
So
And so I come on this one book, and there's military academies. And
Yeah.
they pay for your college.
Yeah.
They pay you while you're at the university and
Right.
everything. And so and then prior to that, I was crazy about airplanes. So my dream was to go to Air Force Academy.
okay. So with the dream of going to the Air Force Academy, so did you do ROTC?
No, sir.
You didn't do ROTC.
I actually ended up at West Point.
Yeah. And well, you didn't just end up at West Point. I mean, research shows that you actually were a congressional peak.
Yes, I was.
Yeah.
That's right. Representative Mike Oxley picked me. So yeah, he picked me or appointed me to West Point.
Yeah.
And then, but I also had applied to the other academy. So I was picked to be at the prep school at the Air Force Academy and the prep school at the Naval Academy.
Oh, wow.
And so my mom's like, West Point's the most prestigious one. Go to that one. You can go straight there. And she had a...
Yeah.
So that's where I ended up going.
And you ended up going to West Point.
Yeah.
It is a big name. It is a name that everyone does respect. So let's go ahead and take a very quick break, and I'll pass maybe some images of maybe anything that has to do probably with the military, just to showcase a bit of the U.S. military, their recruiting services, and things of that sort. We'll be right back. If you just joined us, you're now tuned into Diaspora Central with Gil Ingles, and our guest today is Gus. And we are back. If you have just joined us, you are now tuned into Diaspora Central Spotlight, and our guest today is Gus, an officer, a retired officer, I should say, of the U.S. Army, who has kind of been gracious enough to come and share his experience with us and our audience, because after all, it's about inspiring our younger children into all the options that do exist so that they don't feel stuck where they may be, because a lot of times the misinformation tends to get a lot of people stuck and creates anxiety on a lot of people. Now, as a young man, when it comes time to go into the military, of course, you were not ROTC, so I'm sure that you probably heard a lot of rumors and things that were not true about the military. What were some of those, and who kind of, and what and who helped you kind of overcome the fear of the false rumors that you may have heard about the military?
Well, I really didn't have any false rumors or misconceptions. I had my uncle was in the Air Force, enlisted Air Force. And I had another uncle who was getting ready to go into the Army at the same time that I was. So he was enlisted at the time,
Right.
and then my grandfather was enlisted during World War II.
Okay.
So
So you had a list. So you come from a list of several military men.
right, and
Right.
so, and then my uncle, who was married to my aunt, he had served in Vietnam.
Okay.
So, I mean, we never really talked, but no one steered me away from the military. No one said anything negative about it. And then,
So that's good.
and so I pretty much went in there with open eyes and open mind, and so
ready to appreciate the experience.
Ready to appreciate the experience.
Yeah, because that's one of the things that I think that a lot of times people don't give themselves the privilege of is of actually being able to appreciate the experience, right? Going in with an open mind and just receive what they have to offer. So let's go through the process of how it works to be picked by a congressman or anyone to be appointed to go to a place such as West Point or to any military academy for that matter. Just a bit of the process of getting yourself enlisted. You in high school at the time when you make that decision? You definitely
sophomore, junior year.
Okay.
At the time, I was during the summers I would caddy at Shawnee Country Club.
Okay.
So I knew some of the more important people in Lima, Ohio.
Got you.
And then going to Lima Central Catholic, I was friends with some of the more important people in Lima. So like one of my classmates, Steve Mulcahy, his dad, Mr. Mulcahy, was one of the first ones that really took an interest in me achieving my goal.
Right.
And then some of the members at Shawnee Country Club also heard that I was. They would ask all the caddies, so what you going to do when you get out of high school? And so when they heard me say I'm going to a military academy, they all took notice.
Right.
And so like one of the members, Miss Ellis, she served on Michael Oxley's. She was on his staff.
Oh wow. Okay.
And so I kind of had. I mean, of course, I did. I had the grades to do all that stuff. But it kind of helped that I had.
Indeed.
That all these people knew who I was.
Yeah, and not only that, I mean, but then also for them to co-sign you, that means that you really represented good behavior, right? Respect, manners. Of course, now you mentioned being a caddy. Are you a good golfer?
Not anymore. I mean, I stopped playing golf a lot.
Yeah.
Probably at the university. I mean, at West Point. That's probably the last time I was playing on a basis.
Yeah. Now, any other sports that you took part on?
Well, as far as growing up, my best sport was baseball.
Okay. So you were a baseball player. Yeah. Did you play for school at all?
Yeah, I played at for the high school team. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And also played on the varsity on the football team too.
Oh, okay. So you also play football.
Right.
Oh, wow. What position?
I was a position I hated, but I was a center.
Okay.
And so I just ended up being the long snapper for punts and extra points, and
there you go.
And did a lot of special team stuff. But.
There you go. Well, I mean, but that kind of prepares you for special things in life.
Oh,
because after all, it's all about being special and fulfilling that dream. Now, the engineering dream that you had as a younger or as a little kid.
Right.
You were still trying to be an engineer. Right. You basically traced the path that you thought that was the best path that could have put you there. Right. Did you continue on with that path?
Well, yes. So, get back to the process. So you have to go. You have to have the grades, and then you got to have someone in the community recommend you to the congressman.
Okay.
Then you have to go through a panel, and then they interview a whole bunch of smart kids in the area that want to go to the academies.
Okay.
And then then you're selected.
Okay.
And then the congressman makes their appointment. But you can also, besides being appointed, you can also get a meritorious appointment just from the academies. So because there's like 1,400 kids get accepted, and there's only 435 representatives.
Wow.
So the other 900 are pretty much
based on merit.
Competitive merit.
Yeah.
But I was blessed. I got one from one of the congressmen.
Yeah.
And so then when I went to the academy, I was going to be an engineer, and because I loved airplanes, I was going to be an aerospace engineer.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, question. Boot camp.
Oh, boy.
How was it?
That first day was crazy.
Okay.
And I went to bed that night saying, Lord, what have I got myself into?
Yeah. What was the most shocking thing that happened?
It's just everything. You run. They walk you around. You have to march everywhere. They're yelling at you while you try to accomplish the task you're supposed to accomplish. And this is all just registering into the academy and getting fitted for uniforms and all that stuff. But it's just it wasn't unprofessional hazing, but it was just haze, stress, everything they can do to try to weed you out.
Right. So, in other words, they're actually trying to make sure that you are also fit to be there.
Right.
And which makes a lot of sense, because when you get into a position like this, you do need someone that you can trust.
Yeah.
Right. And and it is good, but post that day, eventually comes the classroom, right? Comes the classes, and I guess the officer route is somewhat different than the enlisted route, right? Yeah. So, but the boot camp is the same.
Yeah, pretty much the same.
Yeah. Yep. And now, are you guys in the same boot camp as everybody else?
No, we're not. So the academy
You're still in the academy.
Yeah, we're still in the academy. So like it's called Beast.
Okay.
And so we learn how to march. We learn how to shoot marksmanship, shoot rifles.
Yeah.
We learn how to just all the basics that anyone that's going into the Army would do. And then at the end of that summer, you go and you camp out for a week.
Okay.
And do all kinds of fun, which a lot of people pay to do nowadays. They're like these mud weeks and mud tournaments and stuff like that.
Oh, wow.
We're doing stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then we march all the way back to the academy, and then school starts after that.
So at that point, you are now, you've been through boot camp, and you're now in the process of becoming an officer.
Right.
Right. And I think we should probably take another break and take a look at some more images of what it takes to be a U.S. Army soldier. Right, or officer, we should say. We're gonna try to cater primarily to officers, because I think it is important. Now, but before we go, what was your rank when you retired?
Retired as a major.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, that's high. Yeah, that's actually it's interesting, because we probably should even take a look at some statistics eventually to see how many Angolans in the U.S. have gotten to the ranking of major in the military, and that is an officer ranking, because that's one of the things that a lot of people get confused on, is that the enlisted ranking and the officers' rankings, they completely different.
Right.
Yeah, and that's one of the things. But let's go ahead and take a look at some more stuff regarding the military. We'll be right back. If you just joined us, you're now tuned into the DIaspora Central Spotlight, and our guest today is Gus, a retired major from the U.S. Army, Congressional appointee to West Point University, and currently serving as a teacher in Florida. We'll be right back.
We're really excited about being able to advocate for the most transformational education bill in Florida's history. Senate Bill 202 is going to give every child the option to be successful and choose an educational opportunity of their choice. This is going to give them the opportunity to have an education savings account, which is an account they'll be able to utilize to go to whatever school they want. The parents will be empowered to be able to pick what school they want, and the money will follow that individual student.
Giving families like mine more flexibility in how to spend their children's educational dollars.
Children, especially like my daughter, need to have their parents making the decisions for them because they know their child best, and we need the freedom to be creative and to be able to choose what we know is going to work best for our students, for our children.
We've got activists coming up from all across the state, activists that really care about their child's education, their grandchild's education, and they want to make sure that their voice is heard.
It allows parents the choice to place their children in a place first, whether it's for safety reasons, for them to get an education that is conducive for that child. And that's why I'm here today.
This bill is going to give them...
And we are back. If you just joined us, you're now tuned into DIaspora Central Spotlight. And our guest today is Gus. Yes, a retired major of the U.S. Army who currently works as a teacher. Engineering was his passion. Now you're teaching. Are you teaching engineering?
No, sir. I'm teaching math. Middle
Teaching
school
math.
kids, math, pre-algebra.
Yeah. Pre-algebra. Now, one of the things that and here it's really I kind of want to have more of a conversation, because in all honesty, I think one of the objectives that we want to have with this program is even try to get more young men to even look into the military as an option versus other things that may not take them anywhere in the future, right? And because there are a lot of misconceptions out there about what the military is and how the military functions and the benefits that the military has and whatnot. You mentioned schooling, for instance, having your school paid for and being paid even at the time while you're going to school. Of course, you went for an officer's route, but I don't think that the enlisting route is much different than that. The concept, I believe, that is still the same,
Pretty much.
right? And aside from that, you also, I guess, once you start serving, where was your first appointment to?
My first duty station was in Germany.
Okay.
So I was in Kitzingen, Germany.
Yeah.
My branch was air defense. Those are the branch that shoots down missiles and aircraft.
Oh wow.
And
So you also get to travel.
right.
Yeah.
Right.
And although not flying, although you wanted airplanes, now you understanding now the engineering that it takes to actually
Shoot down the
shoot a projectile down.
Yes, sir.
Wow, man. Now we see why he's teaching math. You know, the hyperbola. Right?
Yeah.
And a lot of kids don't pay attention to that in school because they feel like they will never get to use that stuff.
Right.
Right?
That's true.
Yeah. So as a teacher now, talk to us from the perspective of a teacher to a student. How important are those math classes in middle school and high school for a good future?
Now, as far as middle school, practically all the math that you learn in middle school is practical.
Yeah.
All of it.
All.
I mean, all pre-algebra. So everything before 7th and 8th grade is all practical because I mean, balancing a budget.
Yeah.
Working at a store,
counting money.
Counting money. Running a business. I mean, you're gonna have to do everything that you learn in pre-algebra and before. You're gonna actually learn it. You're gonna actually do it in school now. Yeah. In high school, once you start going into geometry and trigonometry and algebra 2, that's pretty much you're looking at going to college and doing something professional. Right. So then, yes, if you're taking those classes, that's because you're looking forward to doing something professional as an adult.
Yeah, and of course, being exposed to it early also helps a lot because once you get to college, it's no more. Isn't like, oh, this is so brand new that you don't know exactly what is going on.
Exactly. I mean, because like I took in high school, the last math class I had was calculus. But we learned we went through in probably one semester at the academy what we learned in 1 year. So it's just so much faster.
Exactly. Things move a lot faster. So
Yes.
being exposed to it definitely helps.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, if you had to give, let's say, advice to a parent who's probably considering suggesting to their child the military, but yet they're afraid because they didn't serve, or they don't quite know or understand how the military works, what would you say?
I would say the military is good for someone that might be still immature when they graduate from high school, or does not know what they want to do. Because like we were just talking about in the car,
Right.
And we learn about in the military. You learn about accountability, responsibility,
Discipline.
And then based on which one of the surface processes, if you're in the Air Force,
Right.
mission, if you're in the Marines or in the Army. So these are all things, and then of course all the intangibles, the virtues and the values, candor, commitment, that selfless service,
Service,
honor, integrity, personal courage. So all that, you get all that stuff when you go into the military,
Right.
and that all is a nice foundation to whatever field you're going to do. If you get out after 4 years, or if you stay in, it's just a great foundation to have in life.
Yeah, and it is funny and interesting, right? Because I read somewhere, I don't remember now where, and you guys excuse me if I probably misquote, and I think the quote was that most self-made millionaires, they served the military.
I wouldn't say that, but I would say that the ones that did serve in the military, because I have a bunch of classmates. They're
Right.
CEOs, vice presidents, so they're all very successful in whatever they put their mind to.
Mind
to. Yes.
Because you learn how to focus, which is the whole purpose of that first day of
Right.
boot camp. Is to is to ensure that you stay focused on what your mission and what your purpose to accomplish is. One of the things that I've always admired in regards to the military is really being the discipline. Because I honestly think that America could actually be a much better country if there was a lot more discipline, and if every citizen was actually required to serve in the U.S. military regardless of branch.
Right.
And maybe even if they just went into the National Guard, or I guess the reserves also, because I think it would really be helpful to make mandatory service for every able citizen. Because growing up with a military father, with the military mindset, we learned a level of discipline that that not everybody gets a chance to experience.
Right.
And in all honesty, that, to me personally, helped me a lot, especially when I got to America.
Right.
Because it was by me leaning on that discipline that I was able to get a lot of things accomplished, and to overcome a lot of difficult things that I was also going through.
Right.
Your ability to focus on specific tasks becomes much higher. The ratio of distraction to focus is different than an average person.
Right.
Yeah.
And the American in me would say, well, it's up to every citizen themselves.
Yeah.
What they want to do. Like I said, if you have a parent who's has a older child that seems lost, yes, the military is a good option.
Yeah.
But I mean, every family, that should be something that should be instilled in every kid. Discipline, all those values.
Yeah.
Honesty, integrity,
Right.
Accountability, responsibility. I mean, I get it. There's a lot of people who do not want to take accountability today.
Yeah.
They don't want to be responsible for anything.
Yeah.
But they want all the privileges and all the positive side without having to earn it.
Right.
And so I understand where you're coming, but I would say, yes, if that's missing in your life, if you've grown up without any of those, without any of that learning or teaching, yes, the military is a great way to get some of that instilled into your personality,
Right.
into your character, because it is, again, practically every person I know that's been in the military, they have used it to better their lives.
Right.
The ones that done right by themselves and their families.
Yeah. No, which is actually great, and there's another key benefit, which is traveling. You travel a lot, right?
Right.
You go to a lot of places. You learn
Yes.
to adapt a lot faster to situations,
Yes, sir.
because you gotta you get used to
Right.
moving and adapting. How many countries did you get a chance to visit?
Well, pretty much my whole military career was between Germany and the United States.
Okay.
So, but I was in Kitzingen, Germany. I was in Grafenwehr, which is the major training area in Germany for the U.S. Army. And then as far as the States is concerned, I pretty much was in El Paso a lot, because that's the home of the Air Defense Artillery. And so that's where I went to my basic officer course, my advanced officer course. And then I was also stationed there for a couple of years.
Okay.
And then I was in New York at Fort Drum, right, just south of the Canadian border. So, and then as far as deployment is concerned, I was in Iraq and Afghanistan. I was in, and then all the other different little countries that are in that area, doing either TDY or stints, just to for missions that needed to be done. So yeah, I got to see a lot of the world.
Yeah.
And then on downtime, if you're stationed in Europe, you get to see Italy, France.
Yeah. When I guess, and then whenever you're on vacation, right?
Right.
You just go wherever you want to go.
Exactly.
Now, one question that I've always said, and I should have asked that question to some, I should have looked it up before. While serving, do soldiers pay taxes?
Oh, yes.
Oh, they do pay
Yes, we
taxes.
pay
So they have to
taxes.
file taxes.
Yes, we have
now,
to
does
file
the U.S.
taxes.
military offer services within the bases?
Oh,
to-
yes,
to-
because I was
to help
a
them?
tax
preparer?
preparer. So yeah,
So-
that was one of my
so that was-
additional duties.
that was your
as a
side
young
gig, huh?
lieutenant.
There was your side gig, huh?
Preparing soldiers' taxes. Yes, I did.
Yeah. Now, and while you're doing that duty, now, is that something that you actually, I guess, you just do as something additional, or you guys also get, I guess, what would be considered to be overtime or additional pay for doing it?
No, it's just additional duty.
Yeah, basically for the benefit of learning and
Right.
becoming familiarized with that. Yeah, because that puts you right before tax codes and things like that, which is something good. Look, I mean, look, you do nothing but learn when you go in there.
That's right.
Yeah. If you want to learn,
If you want to learn it, that's right.
If you want to learn good things also,
Right.
Because I'm sure that anywhere where there are good things, there are also going to be bad things,
Yes,
and
there
you
are.
can choose what you're going to learn.
Exactly.
But we're gonna stay on the good things. Yeah. Let's take another break and take a look at some more images of anything, and we'll be right back. If you just joined us, you're now tuned into the DIaspora Central Spotlight. Our guest today is Gus, a retired major from the U.S. Army who currently teaches in Florida, and he's sharing with us his experience in the U.S. military, and also letting us know some of those things that we sometimes have misconceptions about, and he's kind of clarifying those for us. All right, we'll be right back.
Places in the world with both the rich history and striking beauty of West Point. From its time as a strategic location during the Revolutionary War to its role to educate, train, and inspire future Army officers. Nestled along the Hudson River, just 40 miles north of New York City, the United States Military Academy is a national treasure. Wherever you happen to be at West Point, a view of the Hudson River is never far away. Whether it be during a sunset walk or an early morning run, the waterway is a constant reminder of the Academy's purposeful location and its natural beauty. When it comes to classrooms, lecture halls, labs, and auditoriums, there isn't a campus anywhere with the technology and resources of West Point. With buildings that have stood for more than a century, along with constant renovations and new construction, the Academy's academic buildings capture West Point's rich history while remaining state-of-the-art.
All right, and we are back. If you just joined us, you're now tuned into DIaspora Central with Gil Ingles, and our guest today is Gus, a retired U.S. Army major that currently works as a teacher, math teacher. Now, retirement from the U.S. military. I guess you retired early.
Well, no.
Well, I mean, not early. I mean, I'm saying for an average person, that's an early retirement. Because you 22 years, you go in at 18, at
Right.
23, you are 40. No, not even 30 something.
Well, because my commitment did start till I was 22.
Okay.
So I was 42 when
So you were 42 when you
but
retired.
Actually, I was 45 because I did
45.
23 years,
Yeah.
including reserve time.
Wow. So you were 45 years, and then
Yes, that is an early retirement.
yeah. Now, and people need to kind of guess, and these are questions that I have, and I'm sure that other people may have those questions. So at that point, if you retired, could you just say, you know what, I'm just gonna live off my retirement and not do anything else, just live off your pension? Can you do that at that point in time if you got that type of a lifestyle that allows you to do that?
I mean, if you're single and you
Yeah.
have no other responsibilities, yes,
Yeah. You can do that.
probably live off the retirement.
Yeah.
But practical wise, at 45, like I still had kids at home,
Yeah.
and so I had to find something else to do,
Right.
And so
To supplement. Yeah.
the retirement, yes.
And of course, there are also greater benefits because I guess the purchases and things of that sort, you have options of actually purchasing from, I guess, what is it, a base or?
Right, the military
Yeah.
base. So, yes, so you can go to a military base and purchase the food, and most of the time, especially your meat, is cheaper on
Yeah.
base than it is off
Gotcha.
base.
Yeah. So nothing but benefits, man.
And then there's always the 10% discounts and
Yeah.
20% discounts
Here and
for
there.
here and there for being
Right.
military or a veteran.
Yeah. Now, you chose to go for teaching versus probably going into a, let's say, consulting company that would probably be consulting back
Right.
into the military and things of that sort. Was there any reason why you chose teaching?
Well, like 10 years into into my career, I was like, what am I going to do once I get out? And and so I just started looking back, who were the most important people who influenced me the most, and it was the teachers.
Yeah.
And so I said, well, I mean, of course, I could do something else, but for me, I've always loved kids.
Yeah.
So I wanted to teach.
For teaching.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you are now a grandfather also?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Now, you are a father of how many?
I have two sons, twins. They're
Yeah.
25, going to be 26. I have a daughter who's 27.
Okay.
One son's still in college,
Okay.
working on his doctorate. The other son, the one that has blessed me with my two grandkids,
Okay.
he's working in Boston.
Okay.
He's a computer science
There you
engineer.
go.
Just like you. And He's
Yeah.
working for an internet company up in the Boston area, and,
Right.
and I got 2 grandkids, Adeline and Chandler, and then my daughter, she's in Brooklyn, and she's also a college grad, and,
Yeah.
but she's working on still working on being a rap artist,
Yeah.
model,
So creative, So she's a creative. There you go.
I mean, yeah, she's very creative, and she's very good at what she does.
There you go.
Yes, sir.
Now, definitely important. Maybe we can interview her also next to kind of take a look at her creative work and promote it a little bit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Now, on you come from actually a family that also, of course, just looking at your last name, right?
Right.
A family in Angola,
Yes, sir.
a family that also has heavy military background, right? As a matter of fact, I believe that one of the highest ranking generals, female generals in Angola,
It's all right.
is an Ingles,
Yes.
right? Have you ever had a chance of actually just sitting down and just talk like?
No, sir. I mean,
Yeah.
our paths haven't crossed that often.
That often, yeah.
Because the last time I was in Angola personally was when I was 17 years old, and that's when I
Wow.
first got to meet her.
Yeah.
And that was before she.
Right.
I mean, she was doing great things, but
Yeah.
not to the prominence she's
Yeah.
done.
Yeah,
now.
I think at that point I don't think she was a general yet.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the other member was a cousin of ours. He was a general, and I got to
Yeah.
meet him.
Yeah.
Also. So. But yeah, I can see where the all the talent and all the
Yeah.
dedication comes from.
Somewhere on the DNA.
Yes, sir.
Now your kids, none of them went into the military.
No, they both looked at it.
Yeah.
Like the one son was thinking about going in the Army,
Mm-hmm.
and the other one was thinking about being a lawyer in the Marine Corps.
Okay.
But they both decided otherwise. So,
Yeah.
like I said, the one son is studying his doctorate. He's a physics guy,
Okay.
and then like I told you, that
Yeah.
one's a computer engineer.
Yeah. No, and which is still it's definitely great. I mean,
Yes, sir.
it's definitely great. But the grandchildren may still pick up the
Right.
Yeah, because those are things that do happen. Any words of advice or any questions that you may have for me? Anything? Just.
Well, the one question. So, how did you get this gig? I mean, you're an engineer, and so how did you?
How did I get this gig? Let me give you the shorter version of the story. Right, I am that computer guy that at the time when a lot of studios were turning from tape, cassette to computers. I'm the guy who got interested in how computers could enhance or better a studio. And before you knew, I was not just integrating computers into studio. I was also fiddling with, this and that and
the
whatever.
operations.
Right. And before you knew, I was basically producing it. Before you knew, I was before the microphone because I decided after I finished my bachelor's, I didn't quite acclimate to that extra time very well.
Gotcha.
Because it was just work. Mm-hmm. So I decided to take classes at George Washington University.
Okay.
And those were multimedia production classes. And that's basically what got me
into this.
Yeah, into this, the way I got into it. Yeah. And then, a little bit of fame here, a little bit of work there. And before you know, you're just elevating bit by bit. And, and then, I mean, years later, it becomes that therapy that you do once a week, and it feels good, right? It kind of gets your mind off of everything else serious, and you just forget about it and just focus on it.
Awesome.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah. Any shout-outs that you would like to give?
Oh, no, I mean, I've pretty much mentioned all the important people, my 3 kids.
Yeah.
Again, the important people in my life, all of them. And then, Yeah, I'm here visiting in Texas, and
Yeah.
I've been treated well by some friends, Cindy and David Moran, and I'm getting ready to go see my cousin, guy Joseph Hurd,
There you go.
and then of course visiting with you. So it's been a good trip here.
No,
in Texas.
definitely a good thing. And I was telling you, I did promise Tina that I would make a trip, and Tina's still in Ohio, right?
She's still in Ohio.
I did promise Tina, and Tina, for those of you that don't know, Tina is
my sister.
Is his sister, and I do need to pay a visit to Ohio, man. It's it's really good to kind of sit down and have this conversation. You know, thank you very, very much for accepting to come out and share not only your experience, but also give these few words of wisdom to our audience, because I find it valuable for our community, because it saddens me a lot of times when I see young men with great potential really messing their lives up simply because they feel like they are stuck.
Right.
Yeah. But hopefully these few words that you did share with them will change the minds of some of them and give them better perspective on what life could actually be for them. Because after all, this is America. This is the land of opportunity.
Yes, it is.
This is a place where we get to experience freedom like nowhere else in the world.
Yes, it is.
You know. So for those of you that took time out of your schedules to join us, thank you very much for doing so. And remember, appreciate what we have. Until next time, peace.